Hey, what's up everyone? This is Snackbox. Hope you all are having an amazing day, guys. In today's video, I want to share a build for Yumeko that I've been using quite a bit now in the live arena season, and also I actually used her in the Coliseum contest that I won, and I think this build was a big part of why I wanted to. Sometimes it came in really clutch. And Yumiko was actually meta when she first got released. I mean, her refresh is just absolutely amazing, and the cooldown decrease on the enemies, the lockout, that's a very, very unique skill. There's not another champion that can do this. Refresh your allies' skills and put the enemy's skills on cooldown at the same time. Yeah, she's the only champion that can do it. And when she first got released, she was meta, but then, mythicals got introduced and lockouts became kind of like not like pure lockouts were not that great anymore. Now recently with Mercurial, she kind of has a comeback into the PvP meta. I've been using her quite a lot in this current live arena season. And the reason is because we can build her, like if you have some chronophage pieces, we can build her in a 4-piece chronophage set and a 4-piece mercurial set, okay? Actually, I have a 5-piece here for the additional speed, but the most important part is really the 4-piece set bonus. So, why mercurial and chronophage? So for one, chronophage grants the wearer one immutable stack at the start of the round. Each immutable stack blocks an attempt to increase skill cooldowns on a champion, right? So what does or how does immutable function? So here you can see it. The immutable buff will block an attempt to increase a skill's cooldown on a champion. A champion can receive multiple stacks of the immutable buff. Each immutable stack will negate single attempt to increase a skill's cooldown on a champion. For instance, if a skill specifies that it increase a skill's cooldown by 3 turns, a single immutable stack will block that cooldown increasing effect entirely. After a single attempt to increase a skill's cooldown, the number of immutable stacks used will be decreased by 1. Okay, so 1 stack, and that is also a very key word, stack, will be removed if somebody's trying to put your skills on cooldown. And this right here is the key part also about this. The immutable buff has no duration, okay? Keep that in mind, okay? And therefore cannot have its duration increased or decreased. The immutable buffs also cannot be spread to allied champions. All right, so with that being said, there are 2 powerful lockout champions that we are trying to counter with Yumeko. We can counter quite a few others as well, but those are kind of like the most common ones. Let's start off with Fabian, okay? Fabian is probably the one champion that most people have. He was the most accessible, being a fusion. And, almost everybody uses him, right? The thing is, with his skill that he puts enemy skills on cooldown, he's trying to decrease the duration of all enemy buffs by 3 turns. And we just learned that the immutable buff or the immutable stack has no duration, so Fabian is not able to remove it, okay? So if you are trying to counter Fabian with Yumeko or any other refresh champion, then you probably don't need Mercurial, okay? But if you are trying to counter Crixia, which has a little bit different lockout skill, she removes all buffs from all enemies, okay? So she will actually remove that immutable stack with this skill, unless she weak hits, but, on Yumeko, she's Void Affinity, there will be no weak hits. So she removes all buffs, she removes the immutable stacks, and then puts the enemy's skills on cooldown, all right? So she will totally ignore the immutable buff. That's why we have her in a Mercurial set, all right? In a 4-piece Mercurial set, which grants us 1 total guard stack. Now, total guard Let's actually look that up as well. Right here, the total guard buff will block any single instance of damage and all status effects a champion receives from an enemy's skill. A champion can receive multiple stacks of the total guard buff. It will also block any associated effects such as debuffs, including guaranteed and unresistible debuffs, destroy max HP effects, equalize HP, swap HP, debuff spread, decrease or equalize turn meter, instant activation of poison, HP burn, polymorph. Here, as long as the champion has at least one total guard stack, they will be immune to all negative effects except increased cooldown, even from skills that do not inflict damage. So, if we have a total guard stack on Yumeko, the immutable stack will be protected until the total guard is removed, okay? If we go into a fight, and I'm going to show that in a second, I'm going to showcase how that works or how that's, how that looks like. And we have a total guard stack and the immutable stack, and Crixia tries to lock her out. It will not work because she has to remove the total guard first in order to remove the immutable stack, okay? And that's how it works. All right, so let's see. We're gonna jump in here into Classic Arena. There's a Fabian right here. There's a Crixia. Let's actually try this right here. We're gonna use Yumeko. We're gonna use... It doesn't really matter what else you're using. Basically, you want to bring, in the best case scenario, speed lead, the reviver, damage dealers, and so on. I just want to show you how the mechanics work here, okay? So basically, with this kind of build, and you can see it right here, we actually, if you are faster than the enemy lockout, it is not bad, okay? But in this type of scenario, we kind of don't want to be faster because now the enemy lockout went first, right? And now it's our turn. In the best case scenario, your Yumeko goes before everybody else and is the fastest, right? And goes before any other enemy and before you nukers, right? So you kind of want her to be the fastest. So the problem here really was now this can really go wrong if you have two enemy boosters, right? And they boost the turn meter of the nuker so much that he goes before your Yumeko. Then you have a problem, maybe. Not necessarily, but maybe. So you definitely want some decent speed on Yumeko. You want to be, like I said, in between the lockout and everybody else, okay? And there's a trend to building lockouts very fast. They go first, they lock you out, and then everybody else goes, okay? And we are kind of trying to do the same thing, but just slower than the enemy lockout. So now it's our time, right? Our skills are on cooldown, and they have all skills ready. So now what I'm going to do is refresh my team and put the enemy skills on cooldown, okay? That's what's happened. Now Crixia has to swap, makes Marius counterattack, which is fine. I'm gonna get rid of Crixia and the total guard stacks as well. And yeah, from here we are basically in control, okay? We have our skills ready again, and we have the upper hand here. All right? So from here it is basically just about taking them down slowly. Talking about taking them down slowly. A nice is always very hard to deal with. Anyway, I just wanted to show you how you can, how that looks like if you face a Crixia. Let me look for another team. Maybe this one here with Predator. I don't know if I have enough accuracy to actually, put Lady Noelle on cooldown. But it doesn't matter if we lose or not. I just want to show you how that looks like if you counter, Fabian or Crixia. And as you saw, we were able to keep our skills. Same scenario here, with the difference only that with Fabian you don't need Mercurial, right? And we are ready to go. Oh yeah, put everybody on cooldown. except Predator, I guess. Um, and now, we have the upper hand again. We are in control. All right. Now let's actually try this one. So this might be one where this doesn't work, okay? The reason why is we have Solinar here, very powerful champion. I mean, I will probably still win, maybe. But the thing here is Yumeko has also Veil, right? She places Veil as soon as the round starts, okay? That means you cannot really attack her to get rid of the total guard stack unless you have an AoE attack or you can remove the buffs, okay? And you cannot really remove the buffs because you need to get rid of the total guard stack. So you need a hit, okay? That is the only way to get rid of the perfect veil or the immutable. So if you are facing someone like a Galathir that has an AoE A1 and then a Crixia, then this strategy will probably not work because he will, he can boost the turn meter with an A1, remove the total guard stack, and then Crixia goes and can put Yumeko's skills on cooldown, okay? Luckily, that's not the case here. We have Crixia, we have Fabian, not Crixia, so shouldn't be a problem. As you can see here, he tried to remove the buffs, which didn't work. We have, two 9-piece Mercurial sets, and we had the 4-piece bonus on Yumeko, so we still have the immutable stack, okay? And we're actually going first. I don't know why, but all right. And as you can see, he also had immutable on Donnie, which is another good candidate for that, okay? We're going to talk about that as well. There are more champions that work with this build. Yumeko is not the only one, okay? Basically, any refresh champion can work like that. They just have different skills where Yumeko resets and puts enemy skills on cooldown and resets on the same skill, which there's no other champion that can do that. Crixia can reset and put enemy skills on cooldown, but she needs to swap forms. That would, for example, trigger a Solinar, a Marius A1. Okay, so Yumeko is definitely in a very unique spot in that regard. But obviously, we also have someone like Donnie that can refresh and also has some defensive value. And you actually see him quite a lot. It's a very common strategy as well. You can also have Mercurial and Chronophage, and that way also counter Crixia, reset your champions. The only thing is, like I said, you cannot put enemy skills on cooldown, which is very important. If you are facing Solinars, I like to put them on cooldown because then he can receive debuffs and he's a little bit less of a pain in the ass, right? So I really like to bring Yumeko against Solinar so I can put his skills on cooldown, maybe even double lockout. That works quite well sometimes. Another champion that is very overlooked is Kaimar, okay? You can pretty much do the same thing with Kaimar. He doesn't have much else. I mean, he has a buff strip, which is cool, and a sleep, and then an AoE A1, which is also pretty cool, but his A3, he resets the cooldowns of all ally skills, okay? It doesn't matter how much cooldown they are, he will just completely reset them. And then he also fills the turn meter of all champions by 20%. So it's a turn meter boost and a reset, which is quite cool. So he's definitely also a candidate for that build, right? For that Chronophage Mercurial build. And he has also the strong affinity, okay? Which is also not bad, right? And as well, a 30% arena aura. Let's talk about the build though, so you actually can see what I'm working with. So this is a work in progress. So I actually used her, for Hydra as a reset champion a lot, and didn't really think about using her in PvP until Mercurial got released, and then she kind of had a comeback into the PvP meta, and now functions kind of like as a lockout counter strategy, which works, surprisingly well. But as you can see, she's relatively slow. All right. I actually would love to have her at like 400 speed. I think that would be the perfect number. A lot of enemy lockouts are faster than that, and it would be fast enough to still cut in before enemy nukers most of the time. There are some crazy fast Marius builds out there, so it's not always the case, but I think in most cases 400 speed would be absolutely fine. Maybe even 380, 390. But yeah, I still have to, you know, get some glyphing going. I'm short of glyphs. Built a lot of champions in the last couple of weeks, and I'm slowly getting there. Okay, so right now she's at 364 speed, and this is also the exact build that I used in my live arena session and Colosseum contest and so on. And all I'm really caring about here is the speed and the accuracy. Everything else doesn't really matter to me. So I want her to be actually the fastest, the fastest champion, before my revivers, before my nukers, and have enough accuracy to maybe even lock out revivers if possible. Some revivers do not have high resistance. So yeah, I would, like, in the best case scenario, I would probably go for like 700 accuracy and like 400 speed. Like I said, that would be my goal. Like, then I would be fine with it. But as of now, this is what I have to work with, okay? And it works, okay? Most of the time it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, I use her in my Titus team. That's why I have the Malefic Talon on her, to boost up the crit damage. She's kind of like my first mark target, right? But if I had the choice, I would probably give her, or like if I could swap this out, which I'm probably able to soon, if I can get the build right for Titus, without this relic, then I would probably give her the hilt for more speed. A wand would work too. Anything that gives more speed, right? And preferably also accuracy. What else is there? The temporal stagnator, which doesn't really make sense in terms of the effect, right? Because she doesn't hit with the lockout skill, so it doesn't really matter. And she's also void affinity, so even if she would hit, it wouldn't really matter. So let's actually take a look at the index. I think there are quite a few that, would be good on her. So the Mind of Marquardt, yeah, why not? I guess you could use it for the additional accuracy and the speed. Comes in handy. I wouldn't use the lens because it's kind of a, one of the best relics for damage dealers. Also not the Chrysalid of Rebirth, even though it has speed. I mean, the Crown of Corruption, yes, I guess that could work, but I think there are also better options. But in general, it's just anything that gives you more speed, okay? I mean, maybe the Tower Helm, or even more accuracy if you can hit the speeds. Yeah, like I said, the Wand of Submission has the speed, that's fine. And the hilt, and then obviously the Temporal Stagnator, where is it? Right there. Accuracy and speed, same as the Mind of Marquardt. And yeah, other than that, if you don't have any of these options, I mean, you could go with something like the Hand of Uncreation that has also accuracy as a main stat, also speed, but you would kind of have to max it, which is not really worth it. But other than that, there are not that many options that would make sense. Like I said, it would have to be something like this, right? With accuracy main stat or speed main stat. And all the relics with speed main stat are mysticals, okay? And have some nice effects that are much better on others, except the hilt, okay? The hilt is one. It also has a very nice effect, which Yumeko doesn't really benefit from, but you will probably end up with more hilts than any other mythical relic because it's from the standard group, and 50% of the time you will get a standard group relic, okay? So that is something you could consider. But other than that, I don't really think there's anything else that would make sense. At least not that I'm aware of, but maybe you guys have some ideas, so you can let me know in the comments below. But I think, something like this works pretty well if you want to get the accuracy up. Now, in terms of gemstones, depending on what relic you're using, this one right here, impede them. It's a mythical gemstone. Let me move myself out of the way. So if you're using increased cooldown effects, it increases the wearer's accuracy by 40, okay? This is the best gemstone you can use on lockout champions. Other than that, you can probably go with something like Invigorated, which gives you more Thermite if you are boosting, but there's not really much that would make sense in this case. So yeah, like I said, I'm still using the Malefic Talon for Titus to tune the crit damage, okay? I have the Intimidating Presence on her. I have a 6-star Blessing, which definitely helps with the speed and the accuracy and so on. I don't know, you could probably go with Temporal Chains as well, but if you're going with 6-star Temporal Chains, you're triggering Marius's counterattack when you buff up, so that's something you should maybe avoid. If if you can get the first pick of Marius, you can definitely go with Temporal Chains as well. Another thing would be maybe Lightning Cage. That could work as well. Maybe that helps even with keeping the immutable stack if Crixia tries to lock you out. Maybe that works. I haven't tried it yet, but that's something that could work. And here are the masteries, just full accuracy. I would, if this wasn't a build for my Titus team, I would probably go with a defense tree instead of the offense tree for the additional crit damage. So I would go, I don't know, with Rejuvenation or something and Resurgent and just make her a little bit tankier. And also, this one right here, Retribution, is probably one of the most important masteries right now with Mercurial. So you can get rid of those stacks. But yeah, overall, I'm for now happy with the build. Like I said, I have a lot of glyphing to do. You can see it right here. Can still get some speed right there on the helmet. That's fine. Triple roll right here. Also only 4 speed, so that's 5. Like in the best case scenario, if I hit 8 speed everywhere, it's like 5, 9, 13, and then yeah, 17 speed in total. That would get me to like 380, and then if I would use the hilt, I would get close to like 390, and then maybe 400. I think I can get to like 400 if I invest some glyphs in here, or maybe I'll wait for better Mercurial gear, or even Chronophage. I don't know if we ever gonna get Chronophage back, who knows, but most likely we will. I think the last 2 event dungeons were Chronophage, and a lot of people were saying it's bad, and I do agree to a certain degree. But as you can see on some champions, it has a very, very good niche use, and then all of a sudden that champion becomes meta, and you can use him in high-end live arena or PvP in general. But yeah, guys, that's been pretty much it for this video. I just wanted to show you my Yumeko build because a lot of you guys were asking for it. And I think, this will help a lot of people. You can definitely apply that strategy to a lot of champions. Like I said, Donnie, Kaimar, and so on, they have a similar effect, even though Yumeko is kind of unique with the skill that puts enemy skills on cooldown and refreshes your ally skills at the same time. So there's really no replacement in that regard, right? But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed, please hit that like button. It really goes a long way. Also, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more raid content. If you like this video, YouTube's going to think that you like this one as well. Take care and see you in the next one.